The learnings Hili Nishmas Etta Ahuva Basakim Masechas Gitin Perikei Mishna Yomi Cherish Roimez V'Nirmas Cherish. He could be Mirames, which means with his hands and his head. V'Nirmas, and you could be Mirames to him in order for a kinyan to be Chal. Uben B'Seiro Omer Koifetz V'Nikbatz, that you could even have a kinyan Chal just through Akima Svasav for him moving his lips, even though that is not as good as a remez as moving your hands and your head. But that's dafka b'metaltlin and dafka b'metaltlin. The last halacha in the Mishnah is hapu'utais, which are young children. Either the Gemara says either 7, 8, or even 9, 10, depending on how sharp they are. Is mekchay mekach umemkar amemkar b'metaltlin. By metaltlin, they made a takana that their kinyan is going to be a kinyan. The Gemara says the reason is mishum kedei chayav, which Rashi explains that if not, how are they going to sell and buy mezainas for themselves? Mishnah Ches, Elu dvarim she'amru mibnei darkei shalom. The following things are b'nei darkei shalom. The Mishnah is going to list a bunch of things. The first one is Kayin Kairei Rishon v'acharav Levi v'acharav Yisrael b'nei darkei shalom. A Kayin gets the aliyah first in shul, and the Gemara explains that really this is midaraisa. There's 4 mekayros. The last one is because it says v'kidashtei v'darshan l'chol davar shebekdusha l'ftayach rishon l'varich rishon b'lita mana yafa rishon, that the Kayin gets the first aliyah. He gets even a first portion of a meal. He would get first. But where's the darkei shalom? You may think that maybe he could go ahead and give it out to someone else. So they said mimnei darkei shalom, he shouldn't give it out to anyone else. Just 2 quick halachas that the Gemara says on this subject. One is Ein Sham Kayin Nisparda Chavila. If there's no Kayin there, then you don't go in the order anymore. The 2 pshatim Rashi, either the Levi doesn't get an aliyah, or you could give whoever you want. And the second halacha in the Gemara is Ein Sham Levi. If there's no Levi, then Kari Kayin, and the Gemara says Ba'isa Kayin, Dafka, the Kayin that had the first aliyah, he should get now the second aliyah. The second halacha in the Mishnah of Darkei Shalom is if you had an Erev in one person's house, you should continue using that person's house because of Darkei Shalom. The Gemara explains because of Cheshad. It's Machlokes Rashi and Taisus. Rashi says because people are used to knowing that the Erev was in a certain house, and now they see there's no Erev in that house. There's no piece of bread in that house. So they're going to think that people are carrying without an Erev. So therefore they said, always keep the bread in the same house. Taisus says that people are going to think that if you switched houses, why'd you stop keeping the bread in this person's house? Because he was stealing it. So that's the Darkei Shalom. The third halacha of Darkei Shalom is Bar Shehu Karav La'ama Mismal Rishim and Darkei Shalom. The pit, the well that's closest to the stream, should get the water first, and after that, the ones that are lower down should get to fill up. The fourth halacha of Darkei Shalom, and so the next 3 halachas, the 4th, 5th, and 6th, are Machlokes Tanakama and Rabbi Yosi. All of them, the Tanakama says is Darkei Shalom. Rabbi Yosi says is Gezel Gomer. The Gemara explains that Rabbi Yosi holds that they made Eina Zeicha Liknois Kizeicha. We had this Rabbi Yosi brought earlier at the end of the 3rd parak. So what are the 3 cases where they argue over here? Is Mitzudas Chayev Ha'oifos V'Dagim Yesh Behem Mishum Gezel Mimnei Darkei Shalom. Really, there's no kinyan. The Gemara explains if there was a teich to the kli, then avada you would be kinyan, but we're talking about there was no teich to the kli. So the Tanakama holds it's only Darkei Shalom. Rabbi Yosi says it's Gezel Gomer. The second case is Mitzias Cherish Sheita V'Katan, which don't have kinyanim. So Yesh Behem Mishum Gezel Mimnei Darkei Shalom. The Tanakama holds it's only Darkei Shalom. Rabbi Yosi says it's Gezel Gomer. And the third case where they argue is Ani Hamenake Berosh Hazayis. He's catching the Zeisim Mashatachtav Gezam Ne Darkei Shalom. It's not a real kinyan, it's only because of Darkei Shalom. And Yosi says it's Gezel Gomer. The last halacha in the Mishnah is Eimimachem Biyad Aniyei Goyim Leket Shicha Upeya Mimnei Darkei Shalom. You allow the Goyim to take the Leket Shicha Upeya because of Darkei Shalom. The Gemara says some other halachas that are interesting, that also Mefarnasin Aniyei Nachem Imaniyei Yisrael, you would also give tzedakah to Goyim. Mevakin Chayli Nachem Chayli Yisrael, you would do Biker Chaylim to Goyim, also Mnei Darkei Shalom. And lastly, Koivrin Meisei Nachem and Meisei Yisrael, you would also bury Goyim in Mnei Darkei Shalom. Rashi explains not in Kivrei Yisrael, because you don't bury Rishon next to Tzadikim, but you would be Isaac with them to make sure that they are brought to a burial.